Welcome to Your Fitness Chick podcast. Become your best self. I'm a fitness coach spreading positivity to navigate you to fitness, growth, and transformation. Hey, I'm your host, Abby Smiley Krause. I am a fitness enthusiast, a huge dog lover, especially to my babies Gigi and Layla, and I am so passionate about this amazing thing that we call life. In this podcast, I'll be covering topics to improve your fitness, mindset, and well-being. Topics such as longevity, meal prepping, overcoming mindset obstacles, nutrition, and of course, everyone's favorite, weight loss. I'm here to help inspire, uplift, educate, and motivate you to become your best self. Join me here every Tuesday for a fresh episode. Welcome to the Your Fitness Chick podcast. I'm Abby, your fitness chick, and I'm super excited to have my guest on the show today, Wendy Rose. I think that you guys are going to be super excited with her story. I know that she's an inspiration for me. She's a friend of mine. I follow her on Facebook, and she's always uploading tons of positivity and inspiration. So I instantly thought of her when I was making my database for guests for the show, and I'm so glad that she agreed to be with me. So welcome, Wendy.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here, Abby. I love what you're doing.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for that. Well, Wendy was nice enough to write up a really nice bio about her because obviously when we're telling stories about people, we kind of want to know what their story is. And that way we can get a better grasp and understanding of why it is such a cool story. So I'm just going to read this little tidbit about you, Wendy. So Wendy is committed to health and fitness and focused on longevity. She was on a diet roller coaster like a lot of us have been for years before figuring out there was no weight loss secret, just good, clean nutrition. In her mid-40s, she started running thanks to peer pressure of friends, eventually becoming an endurance athlete, running ultra marathons and competing in triathlons for the past 8 years. When Wendy turned 50, she realized the negative self-talk she battled almost daily had stopped, and she credits her personal fitness accomplishments with telling that voice inside her head to shut up. Wendy incorporates strength training into her weekly schedule and says she views all of her fitness activities as a form of play, which helped make them a lifestyle. It also is what keeps her feeling young and young at heart. And definitely you look young, girl. So I think that's a really great bio. So I was sharing with Wendy right before we started the podcast that ironically, I was just walking my dogs before coming in to start the show. And I had my phone and I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw this post somebody had posted that says, stop saying just a half. A half marathon, you guys, just so you know, if you're new to marathons and all triathlons and all that, like I am, I want you to grasp this concept before Wendy dives in and expands on it. A half marathon is 13.1 miles, which is 23,056 yards, 26,200 steps, 69,168 feet, and 830,016 inches. Amazing. It makes me want to throw up just thinking about
Me too when I hear it that way.
Because I am not a runner. Now I have myself I do like to jog and do high intensity interval training and stuff like that. But I have always had the highest amount of respect for people who are runners because, man, that takes a real special mindset, in my opinion. And you have taken it even a step further and launched yourself into this world of half marathons, fast forwarding to ultra marathons, triathlons, and all that good stuff. So I want to kind of start at the very beginning. So you said you've been doing this for about 8 years, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
So tell me, first of all, what when you were struggling with your weight loss roller coaster, and what was your turning point, and how did you end up where you are right now?
Actually, I have a specific memory. I was working at the Home Shopping Network at the time, and I got up from my desk one day and my belly jiggled. And
Hate the belly
I
jiggle.
knew, I didn't look the way I wanted to look, but that was kind of a, oh my goodness. And I thought I was doing everything right. I thought I was eating all the right stuff. And I actually went to Weight Watchers at the time.
How old were you
And
at that
really,
point, Wendy? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
ooh, I was late 30s,
Okay.
mid to late 30s.
Okay. So coming into
I
menopause time.
Yeah, oh gosh, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it was mostly because I had an addiction to pasta, but whatever. Um, but no, Weight Watchers really taught me the things that I didn't know. It taught me portion control. It helped me make better choices.
Okay.
So really, I lost my weight, and for the most part, maintained it since then. I did have a little blip a few years ago, but then changed my diet, mostly went whole food, plant based. And then I've been able to maintain without counting calories and doing all that difficult stuff that makes it extra hard.
Yeah. So just really, it was a transitional lifestyle change for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I learned so much, and that really helped. It really helped a lot because I knew diets are not the way to go because that's a temporary fix.
Right.
Some diets are worse than others because they don't teach you anything. So you're just going to be back where you were. And a lot of the diets and programs out there want to charge people a fortune. And that's, it's not going to last. It's not going to really have the benefit that a lot of things people do. So,
Right.
so yeah, that was it for me.
So once you had decided that you didn't want the belly jiggle and you transitioned your nutrition and changed the way that you were eating, when did you wake up and decide that, okay, I want to start running?
I want to say it was 10 years ago. Yeah, well, 10, 13 years ago. Disney was doing an inaugural wine and dine half marathon. It's a race at night. And I had several girlfriends all over the country, and they said, let's do this as a way to get back together. So we all started our own little training plans, and we all met at Disney to do this. And I wasn't even running the half marathon because through my training, I knew there was no way. I was doing a couch to 5K, basically could barely run to the end of my street. So I did a relay half with another girl who I didn't even know from New York and New Jersey. But after that experience, some friends who I worked with at the time were like, hey, we run on these nights, do you want to come after work? And so it just became this positive peer pressure, is what I call it. And it becomes a social thing. And that's how I have this just great group of people who are always there doing something and suggesting new and different ideas for fitness. But yeah, it became just a more of a social thing for me than anything else.
So when you just start, you're probably a little deconditioned, right? Your endurance
Oh,
level obviously
absolutely.
has a long way to go into growth. Um,
Yes.
I mean, for the listener on the end listening and thinking about this, like this has always been on their bucket list.
Hmm.
How did you start as far as yeah, you were with friends, but like how far did you go? Did you just go for like a certain amount of time, or did you track it for a certain amount of distance? Like how did you just start in that regard?
I will say, and I recommend this to anyone if you want to start running. And trust me, I understand most people don't want to run. So find what it is that you want to do that you'll enjoy. I didn't enjoy running for many years because I was doing it all wrong. But I found the most popular is a couch to 5K program, and it'll give you baby steps. It'll basically be like, run from this light pole to the next light pole and then take a walk break. And it really helps you build up gradually. So if people want to start running, that's a great way to do it. And we live in a part of Florida that has so many 5Ks all the time. There's something to do to keep you motivated if you need to sign up for things to have a goal to work toward. But that's really how I got started.
Okay. So you kind of set small goals, right? And then
Absolutely.
they got, as you improved on your endurance, you set that bar a little bit higher each time. Now,
Yes.
you said when you
Yes.
first started you were doing everything wrong. Like, what do you mean by wrong?
I didn't understand the importance of, the right running shoes, nutrition, that you don't just run fast all the time. You wear yourself out and then can't breathe and then you hate it. And it's this vicious cycle. I didn't realize how important it was to build up and build your endurance, and build your lung capacity, that type of thing.
Okay. And definitely the fuel and the gear count big time.
Absolutely.
What's
Absolutely.
your favorite running shoe, or what gear do you recommend for people?
I've been in Hoka's because I need a lot of cushioning. And so I've run in Hoka's for many years now. I'm considering a couple other brands, but like when it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm 56 now. I'll say it out loud. And I need a lot of heel cushioning just because everything's, I don't want to say wearing down, but just a little more sore than I used to be when I run.
Right.
But there's a lot of pounding involved.
Sure, obviously, especially for that long of a distance.
Yeah.
So you started running with your friends, you set small goals, you learned what you were doing wrong, you corrected that, got the nutrition in, got the right shoes, and all that good stuff. So, how much time had transpired before you decided, uh, I'm going to go a little bit further than Disney?
Oh yeah. It was a few years. But then I have friends who sign up for crazy things. And I think the next big thing we did, it sounds like fun, was it's called a Ragnar. It's a road race,
Okay.
and you get a group of, I think it's 12 people in two vans, and we ran from Miami to Key West. So it's like 200 miles. And there's always a runner on the road doing different legs. So like
Wow.
runner one would go, and then you would drive to where they're finished, and runner two would go again. Craziness, but this is what motivates me, is fun and experiences that make me feel alive.
Wow.
So I'm usually up for anything once. So that was my first crazy thing, and I think that's before I even got into triathlon. So yeah, again, just a really neat challenge. I think you end up individually running 13 to 15 miles, something like
So,
that,
equivalent to
in
like a half marathon.
exactly, in like, three different legs or whatever. But again, unique challenges that sounded like fun at the time.
Till you're in it. It's kind of like when you start putting up
Till you're in.
it's when you start putting up your Christmas decorations, right? You're like, this is
Yeah,
so fun, and then halfway through, you're
yeah,
like, why am I doing this?
exactly.
But
Yeah.
on a much more intense physical level, obviously. So, when did you start doing? So you went from Disney to that, to the Key West Miami experience. When did you start doing triathlons? Because that's a whole nother animal.
Yeah. And it's funny. It was, I want to say 8 years ago. I want to say it was about 8 years ago. So probably 3, 4, 5 years into running. A lot of my friends were doing triathlon, and I've been a swimmer all my life, but we live on the Gulf of Mexico, and there's something in there called sharks. So even if it's 95 degrees out and I'm on the beach with my friends, I'll go up to my knees and like splash to cool off. So I was trying to find what's called a duathlon. It's like a run and a bike, and you don't swim. But they were really hard to find. So I did a couple of those and was just like, I'm going to have to start swimming too. And literally took the plunge and started doing that. But again, it's the positive peer pressure of things my friends were doing, and it looked really fun. And that's how I got started doing that too.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that would, I imagine, can imagine, take quite a bit of preparation and training because you've got to
Hmm.
have your running game on, you've got to have the swimming, you've got to obviously have the
Yeah.
biking. So,
Yeah.
when do you find time in your schedule to get your training in?
Yeah. It all depends. I've had different jobs during this time. So it all depends. Sometimes it would be in the morning, sometimes it would be after work. But yeah, you figure out how to make it work.
And how much time per day? Like if you know
Yeah.
you're doing a triathlon, let's say 30 days out, how much time per day do you need to allot in order to be
Hmm.
ready to go?
It depends because mostly I was doing the shorter races, which are called sprint triathlons. So I mean, really, an hour a day, just like if you were going to the gym, an hour a day, probably 5 days a week.
And that's
Um,
that's for conditioning of all three of those things: biking, swimming, and
you
running.
might do different things on different days, or like if I had a gym day, I'd also either swim or bike or something like that. You kind of mix it up. But I've always had a really good coach that really tailors it for people who are living life, raising kids, doing all the things. It's just how you can best fit it into your life.
Wow. So if somebody, say me, because it's something I may dive into. I don't know. If I wanted to get started, where would I start? Would I just start jogging? Would you like, let's say I wanted to do a triathlon. Would
Hmm.
I feed one shark before the other? Would I start running first, get the endurance up that way? Would I bike first? Would I try to just dive in and practice all three? Like where would you say would be the best way to do it?
That's a great question. Because I don't know that there's one path for everybody. I think it's all individualized. So maybe, figure out what your strength in the three disciplines is, and then add in the next one, and then add in something else. Obviously, running seems to be the easiest because you need tennis shoes and that's about it.
Right.
Um, so getting it's funny, my first couple of triathlons, my, I had just a regular bike. Didn't realize how harder that made it for me. Cause I didn't know.
Mm.
Didn't even really know how to shift gears correctly,
Yeah, I would have
so,
no clue.
right. And I didn't ask the right questions. That's the biggest thing I think about life in general, is when you learn how to ask the right questions, things get easier. But sometimes we feel like we have to know the answers already. So we don't humble ourselves enough to go, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing. Give me some direction. But that's the other cool thing, is there's so many in different communities. Like we have, my triathlon club is the Sarasota Storm Triathlon Club. My running club is the Minnesota Track Club. There are clubs all over the country, no matter where you are, that if you want to get started, they're so welcoming. Now,
Hmm.
there's elite clubs for the best of the best. I've never been those athletes. I've always been just the person coming off the couch doing the thing. And people are just really welcoming and want to help. Also, if you just want to start swimming, there are masters club, anyone over 18. So don't feel like you're the old person. Masters swimming all over the country. It's for anyone over 18 who wants to start swimming. Like to get good or faster, not just, go do laps in a pool, but to really train. So it's accessible. It's so accessible. It's just, again, people don't know to ask. So there's help too, free help, or, nominal to get in the pool every, 2 or 3 times a week or whatever. But yeah, I'd say work on, first of all, the thing you like the most, and then the next best thing, and then put in whatever you think is going to be the hardest. But there's also some, like they call them, just kind of beginner or fun triathlons. We used to have one locally that we don't have right now, but you would swim in a pool at the Y,
No
and
sharks are
then you would
there.
go out. What?
No sharks are there.
No, exactly. Thank goodness. I wish there are actually some professional triathlons that have a pool, and I'm like, I want to do one of those.
Yeah.
And because then, you're not hyperventilating about what's swimming or splashing around you. No, but there are some, just to get people literally get your feet wet. You could swim in the pool, and then you do a real short bike, and then you do like a 1 mile run. So it's just to introduce you to the concept of what a triathlon might feel like. And I know some people who went from that to an Ironman, which is 156 miles or whatever
Can't
craziness.
even imagine.
But I have lots of friends like that. So
Wow.
anyway, but there's always some way to get you started if you even want to try. That's the cool part. That there's programs to help you.
Yeah, that's some great information. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure people find that helpful. So I wanted to ask you too. So in your bio, you talked about how you also make time for strength training, which that's
Mm-hmm.
my thing. So
Yeah.
do you feel like that definitely impacts your performance when you're doing these triathlons?
Absolutely. And my strength training, especially during racing season, it's functional fitness. So my strength is focused on swimming and biking and running. So a lot of upper back and arms and power moves, not just, doing a lot of squats or things that are actually going to make it harder for me to recover to do the next training thing. So it's very specialized moves to strengthen the muscles I need to do swimming, biking, and running. Does that
Right.
make sense? I mean,
Yeah.
sense to you. So yeah.
For sure. That would make a difference. Definitely. So, I'm
Oh,
always
absolutely.
preaching about the importance of strength training, and it
Hmm.
affects everything in your life. So that's awesome.
And
So,
there's more, obviously, something I know that's important to you too. And there's more and more evidence that, especially we as women, once we're in our 40s, even earlier, I would start if you can. We need to continue strength training for longevity, for
bone density,
metabolism,
bone.
for bone structure.
Yeah.
So if we want stronger bones, if we want to live well as we age, strength training is so important, and I know you know that for sure.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. 100%. So, because I do follow you on Facebook, it seems like you're doing half marathons or triathlons like every weekend. Like
But I'm not.
how many do you do per year?
um yeah, I get accused of that a lot.
It seems like you're
We've
always laying out your cute little uh
my flat Wendy gear. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, and it's really not a lot like this year because I've had a very difficult year. I did 2 triathlons this year and then really needed to shift my focus just to running because I needed to give myself softness and gentleness in the rest of my life. So I was able to do that. But I mean, if you're doing 5Ks, I work on Saturdays, so I can't run a lot of local races because mostly they're on Saturday. So I don't compete even remotely as often as a lot of people do. So I'll probably have a good, I want to say 5 or 6 races, a good serious races every year. It may be more than that. This year, definitely not. But it's part of life for me, so it has to work with my life and whatever's going on in my life as well. So this year it's probably more 5 or 6 serious races. I did get the opportunity to go out and do some things in the mountains earlier this year. Again, big groups of people and lots of fun life experience stuff. So I've made sure to do what nurtures me as well as what pushes me.
And that's very cool because it sounds like too for people, that are single in 40s and 50s, the midlifers who are maybe yeah.
Newly single, right?
Yes.
Here we are.
And recreating the next chapter in your life, that this
Yeah,
sounds like it could give you a lot of networking and social opportunities just to meet new people and maybe help you ride that ride as you're transitioning to that next chapter, right?
exactly. Again, for me, fitness is, it's funny. I really enjoy training a lot of times by myself because I'm in my mind. That started because I was always the slowest. So among my friends, we'd meet up to train and they'd like take off. Now that's changed, which is nice, but I respect that for other people. So a lot of my training is solo. But a lot of my races and competing is social. So it's kind of an interesting balance. But yeah, I am so propelled by other people. And it's funny, I never watched a half marathon until one time I volunteered to cheer at one. And I never saw the front of the pack because I was never up there. I'd see them take off at the starting line, but I never saw them compete. I've never seen the end of the pack, the people who they just want to walk the thing, or, this is them getting back after knee replacement or something else, or whatever it is in their journey. But to see all types of competitors in one race, it was really mind blowing for me. And it helped me respect the sport even more to see that it welcomes all types, which is what I love about the communities that I compete in, because it's for everybody.
And everybody has to start somewhere, right? I
Exactly.
mean, at one
Well,
point
and
you were a
that
beginner.
exactly. And trust me, it's funny because a lot of people are slowing down as they age. Naturally, that makes sense. But because I started so slow and I would take a lot of walk breaks and I really didn't push myself when I really started, that I'm getting faster right now. So right now is a fun time for me because I keep, surprising myself. Like yesterday, we did a 5 miler. That's an annual event out on Casey Key. And I ran my fastest time ever. And I'm not in my top
That's
condition
awesome.
right now. So I was really, really excited about it.
As
But
you should be.
yeah,
Congrats.
everyone
That's
has to start
awesome.
somewhere. Thank you. And that's the other reason, like, again, I continue to surprise myself with different things because I've never ran in my life till I was, 43. I've never been athletic. I was the dancer. I was not, the athlete. So to see myself doing some of these things, I still, cry happy tears. Not because I've done anything amazing or, top of the pack, on the podium, whatever. Um, it's because I didn't think I could do any of this stuff. And so that's what I love about the things I do. If I can do it, anyone can do it. That's how I feel because I never did any of these things. So even with my little accomplishments, it's a lot to propel me. Like you read in my bio, I used to have so much negative self-talk in my head, or like my alarm would go off. Why are you getting up to train? You suck, or you're slow, or you're never going to do those things that everybody else is doing. And then eventually that was gone because I proved to myself without knowing it that I can do more and I can push myself. And it was a really cool moment for me because I know we all battle negative self-talk in some
For
way.
sure.
And when you realize that voice is gone and you did something about that, it's pretty cool.
It's liberating. It's freedom, really.
It is. It's absolute freedom. That's it.
Because doing that stinking thinking,
Oh,
it's the chains. It is. And
yeah.
even it's very rare because I've practiced
Yes.
very much so breaking
Mm-hmm.
that chain. And so there was somebody that I used to read a lot of her books. Her name's Doreen Virtue. And she always said, whenever you catch yourself thinking about something negative about yourself,
Yeah.
you say cancel, clear, delete. So
Oh, I
you
like
you
that.
cancel the thought, you clear it, you delete it, and then you replace it with what you want it to say.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I want to share this is because last Sunday was my birthday, and I was blessed because my son's 23 now. And when all those people out there who have sons and daughters in their 20s or stepdaughters and sons in their 20s, you don't rank up high on the totem pole for visitation.
Right.
So since it was my birthday, he had to come see me. And what was really neat was I can't remember what we were talking about specifically, but I had said something and he goes, cancel, clear, delete. Because I used to tell him that same thing. It just
Mm-hmm.
brings tears to my eyes because I always had told him the best person that is going to always be there for you besides your mom is
Is
yourself.
you.
And
That's
once
it.
you realize that, you've got to talk to yourself like you would your best friend. You would
Yeah.
never say you suck to your best friend, even though if you thought it, you wouldn't,
Yeah.
you
Right.
wouldn't say it, right? You would
Yeah.
encourage them. And I think that's such a great point, Wendy.
That is.
It really
That's
is.
awesome.
So who would you say has been the most influential person? Not necessarily for racing and running and
Hmm.
all these great things that you've been doing, but in your lifetime, who do you think has been the most influential person in your life and why?
I honestly don't know if I could pick one person. And that's kind of how I've lived my life for the past like 3 years. I just really open myself up to different voices, different influences, which has helped me with my personal growth. But we can learn something from everybody. And it doesn't have to be an athlete or a runner or anyone that does the same. And that's actually better if we listen to voices outside of our funnel. Um, I will tell you, I am addicted to Rich Roll's podcast.
Oh,
He
he's
is,
awesome.
he's an endurance athlete, but he's also someone who's been in recovery for many years.
And he's really cute.
And, and he's really cute. And his life lessons, his guests, and because I have a background in journalism, how he asks questions and just reflects back to whoever's he's interviewing. To me, it's like the best single source of information for life.
Yeah.
So his podcast can be long, so it's usually I listen over a couple days or 3 days. But honestly, he has introduced me to so many people who've helped influence my stage of life right now. I think that's the best way for me to put it.
And I love that. Yeah. I mean, definitely always keeping those eyes wide open, those ears open
Yes.
for the good and the bad. Leave the bad, take the good, and then just make it into your
Mm-hmm.
own and mold it so that you can use it and become better.
Yeah.
So, as we're wrapping up here, I want to ask you, what do you do and what is your advice to people on the days you wake up and you don't feel like doing it? What do you
Yeah.
do?
It all depends. Some days, especially this year, I've needed softness and comfort. And so I stay in bed instead of getting up to work out, but work out in the afternoon or evening instead.
Okay.
Some days you just have to miss. But my goal is always to push myself because you will always feel better after, even if the motivation isn't there at that time. If you feel physically like you can't do it, that's something different.
Like if you're sick or something.
Because obviously we have to listen to our bodies. But at the same time, just push yourself a little bit because you will never regret a good workout, ever. No matter what it is you're doing. Even if, okay, I can't feel up to running today, but I can do a good walk. Walking is movement. Walking is still something. So whatever it is, like I have an aversion to the swimming pool lately. I need to get back in and get started again. So what do? You just go. And even if you have to be the girl in the slow lane, just go and give yourself that gentleness to get back at it. Life gets in the way. I absolutely understand that. And I've been a living example of that. But we deserve it. It's self-care. It is not selfishness, despite what some people in your circle may tell you. It's self-care to be a healthier, stronger, person. And that anything I've ever done in regard to fitness, it affects my mind, it affects my heart, it affects my body as well. So I am the first person to really be a proponent for whatever it is you choose to do. It is self-care.
100%. And,
Mm-hmm.
I've always said that sometimes you have to heal from the outside in, right? So when you're going through a tough time in your life, because we're all going to do that, that's inevitable. I just found that if I was having challenges with my mental mindset, with my heart, if you went through a breakup, whatever, like I did last year, that can really put you down on your ass. You can either
Yeah.
sit and feel sorry for yourself, or you can decide, you know what, I do deserve to be happy. I do deserve to be better. And by
Yep.
physically moving, it actually is like your therapy. So it's creating all
It's
that good things to help align for
100%.
you.
I'm actually looking for a quote. My queen, Pink, said it last week on 60 Minutes.
Love
And
her.
I loved this so much because, as everyone knows, she flies through the air during her
Yeah.
concerts. This woman is rock solid. And she says, I don't eat well to look good. I eat well to go far, fast, and hard. And I loved that so much because we as women sometimes are conditioned to want to look a certain way. And that's not it. I actually had someone tell me years ago, with you running so much, you'd think you'd be skinnier, And I was like, no.
Filter.
I eat,
No filter.
yeah, I don't have a good poker face, not at all. But I was shocked at that. And it's not about being skinny, it's about fueling your body, it's about feeling good in your body, and that has no size. It's about being strong enough to live your life every day, all of that stuff. So Pink said that, and I was like, boom, she said it.
I love it.
It's about being able to live your life and functional fitness and all of that. It's not about a size. Just one real quick note. I've been in body contouring for the last 4 years, and you would be surprised. These people walk in and they look fantastic. You're like, what is it you really need, help with, that type of thing. And it showed me some of the people that have the lowest self-esteem are the most gorgeous people. And it really taught me over the last 4 years that we all have something and that we all need to be kinder to ourselves. So don't look at yourself with a negative eye. Like Abby said earlier, we are the only people that will be with us from birth to death. So we have to look out for our best interests. We have to be kinder to ourselves. And whatever it is you need to choose to do that, you have to make time for yourself and remember that, because it's the only way we're going to get through things. And we just need to be kinder to ourselves, but also invest in ourselves. Invest that time that you so frequently give to other people, a little bit for you. We all have the same 24 hours. You deserve at least 1 or 2 each day for yourself.
I love that so much. That's a great way to end everything. So as we wrap up, Wendy, what's next for you? What's next on your horizon? What's your next race?
It's the crazy stuff. Because I chose to dial back from triathlon this year and just focus on running. My next race is the Sunday before Thanksgiving. It's called the Legacy Trail Ultra. If I was full crazy, I would run the entire Legacy Trail from Sarasota to Venice back to Sarasota, which is 36 miles. But I'm only, like you said, I'm only doing 18. I know.
Half
And then,
marathon, you wuss.
I know, I'm only doing 18. So I'm doing more than a half marathon, less than a marathon. And
18
then
miles. That's a long ways.
in December, the good thing is you don't have to just go fast. You can skip, you can walk, you can do whatever you have to do, just get there. And then in December, I'm doing a 6-hour track race. So you do as many laps around the track as you can in 6 hours. My goal is to do an ultra, which is a 50K, which will be about 31, 32 miles. So we'll see. It depends on the weather. It depends how I feel that day.
Wow.
But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Wow.
That's what we call fun. So
right. We have our own definition of crazy fun. Well, Wendy,
exactly.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your, I know, very busy schedule to meet with me and to share your inspiration with everybody on the other side. I think that I'm sure a lot of people will take a lot away from this. And good luck on everything else that's unfolding in your life. I know you have a lot of new exciting things coming. So thank you so much. And I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. And thank you. And keep up the great work with what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So thanks you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Your Fitness Chick podcast. As always, I'm here to inspire, uplift, educate, and motivate you to become your best self. We'll see you on the next episode. Hey, it's Abby, your fitness chick. Thanks for checking out today's episode. With your continued support, I can keep creating inspiring episodes just like this one. So be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. To stay motivated all week long, be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. The links for those can be found in the show notes. Check out my website by visiting www.yourfitnesschick.com. And I'd like to thank my production company, Coraggio Media, but most of all you, my listeners, for helping to inspire me each and every day. I'll see you on the next episode.